Imagine waking up one morning as a scrap metal dealer in Paris and discovering you've just paid a fortune to buy the Eiffel Tower. Not a piece of it, not the rights to it, but the entire thing. And moments later, realizing the man who sold it to you has vanished. No government official, no contract. Just a con so perfect, so unbelievable, that even the victim refused to report it out of sheer embarrassment. This is the story of the man who sold the Eiffel Tower, not once, but twice. Victor Lustig didn't look like a criminal. He dressed like an aristocrat. He spoke 5 languages fluently. He carried himself with the confidence of someone who belonged in every room he walked into, even when he absolutely didn't. Born in Austria-Hungary in 1890, he discovered early in life that he had one true talent: separating people from their money. Not through force, not through hacking, but through persuasion, through charm, through the art of making someone believe in a reality that didn't exist until he said it out loud. Lustig didn't just scam people or simply look the part. He studied them. He lingered in hotel lobbies and cafes for hours, watching how wealthy men carried their egos like armor. He learned how they glanced at their watches when lying, how their pride made them blind. He memorized their gestures like lines in a script. Because for Victor Lustig, every con was a performance, and every victim played their part exactly as he predicted. By his 20s, he had traveled across Europe running small confidence schemes. But these were warm-ups. He was so infatuated with his own work, he had even written his own private rulebook, 10 Commandments for the Perfect Con Man, a set of principles that guided every scam he ever pulled, and as you'll see throughout the video, was always sure to abide by them. Lustig didn't want to be a petty criminal. He wanted the big score, the kind of scam that would go down in history. And in 1920s Paris, he found the perfect target. Back then, the Eiffel Tower was not the symbol of Paris we know today. Many Parisians hated it. Critics called it an eyesore. Newspapers complained about maintenance costs. The city debated whether it was worth keeping at all. These public discussions were all Victor Lustig needed. They created the perfect illusion, the idea that maybe, just maybe, the French government might actually be considering tearing the tower down. Lustig sat in his hotel room, flipping through a newspaper article criticizing the tower's upkeep. And a thought hit him. A thought so absurd, so bold, so impossible, that only someone with his level of confidence could even entertain it. What if he pretended that the Eiffel Tower really was being sold? He knew it sounded insane, but that was the advantage. The bigger the lie, the easier it is to sell. Because no one believed someone would dare make it up. He went to work crafting an identity, fake government stationery, forged documents stamped with official-looking seals, letters typed with perfect bureaucratic language, and the title that brought it all together: Deputy Director of the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs. A made-up role, but it sounded legitimate enough to slip under the radar. As he forged those documents and rehearsed his government persona, he quietly recited one of his commandments: "Let your importance be quietly obvious." Then he scouted out 5 of the most ambitious scrap metal dealers in Paris. Men hungry for an opportunity, men who had the means to bid on a massive project. He sent each of them a confidential letter, instructing them to attend a private meeting at the luxurious Hôtel de Crillon. A meeting to discuss a highly sensitive government matter. They showed up, curious, nervous, and confused. Lustig welcomed them with a warm smile and ushered them into a private room. He opened up immediately with the lie that the government is secretly looking to tear down the Eiffel Tower. He explained that the maintenance costs had become unbearable. The public hated the tower. And because of political pressure, the decision was made to quietly sell the structure for scrap, but without announcing it publicly to avoid public backlash. And they believed him. Lustig drove them to the Eiffel Tower in a rented limousine and toured them around the base, pointing out structural issues and the massive amount of iron it contained. He explained the bidding process, the confidentiality, the urgency, And then he watched as each bidder fell deeper into the illusion. He moved with calm confidence, following his rule: never appear nervous. Every gesture was calculated, every pause deliberate. But one bidder stood out: André Poisson. A man eager to prove himself in Paris, desperate for a big break, and relatively inexperienced compared to the others. Lustig sensed vulnerability, a weakness he could exploit. And Poisson sensed opportunity, a chance to outmaneuver his competitors and win a contract that could make him rich. Here he leaned on a couple of his commandments. A patient listener always wins. He let the dealers speak first, revealing their ambitions, fears, and greed before he revealed anything at all. Also, his favorites: a con is only as strong as the victim's desire. And Poisson's desire to rise above his rivals made him blind. Lustig approached him privately. He spoke softly, as if sharing a burden. He hinted that government jobs didn't pay much, and that officials like him sometimes needed a little extra consideration to move things along. It was the perfect bait. Poisson took it. He paid Lustig the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of today's dollars, both for the rights to the Eiffel Tower and the bribe Lustig implied he needed. The moment the money touched Lustig's hands, he didn't hesitate. He grabbed the cash, packed his bags, and boarded a train out of Paris that same night. By the time Poisson realized the truth, Lustig was already across the border. As he boarded the train out of Paris, he whispered another commandment to himself: leave while the illusion is still perfect. Nowadays, this follows the idea that a great magician never reveals his secrets. Poisson never reported the scam. The humiliation was too much. How do you tell the police you bought a world-famous monument from a random man in a hotel? Lustig had just pulled off one of the boldest cons in history, and he could have stayed away forever. But his ego brought him back. A month later, Lustig returned to Paris using the exact same plan, the same letters, the same forged documents. He rented the same limousine, he assembled a new group of scrap metal dealers. And he was ready to sell the Eiffel Tower. Again, this was doomed to fail, as Lustig is seen actually going against his own commandment that states, never push a successful con too far. Lustig returned to Paris with the same lie, the same papers, the same performance. This time, one of the bidders grew suspicious. Something felt off. He contacted a government official to confirm the story. And suddenly, the illusion shattered. Authorities were alerted, and Lustig fled Paris a second time. This time for good. But his story doesn't end there. After leaving Europe, Lustig went to the United States, where he continued running scams with the same charm and elegance. For years, he fooled bankers, businessmen, and even career criminals. His greatest American con was the money box, a fake machine he claimed could duplicate currency. Wealthy men paid tens of thousands just to watch him demonstrate it, not realizing he had secretly slipped in real bills to make the machine look functional. They wouldn't discover the truth until hours later, giving Lustig plenty of time to disappear. Lustig's life was a masterpiece of manipulation. Every lie had structure. Every scam had elegance. But eventually, even he ran out of luck. At this point, the Secret Service was on Lustig's trail. This hadn't been hunting him for the Eiffel Tower scam. They were after something far more dangerous. For years, Lustig had operated one of the most sophisticated counterfeiting rings in the country, flooding American banks with flawless fake $100 bills. His operation was so effective that entire regions saw their cash supply destabilize overnight. Agents nicknamed the mystery criminal the Count, because every bill they traced seemed to lead back to a ghost, someone elegant, educated, and impossible to pin down. What finally exposed him wasn't a mistake. It was betrayal. One of Lustig's closest partners, furious after a personal falling out, secretly tipped off authorities about the typewriter he used to create the counterfeit plates. That single clue gave the Secret Service their first real thread to pull, and once they had it, the hunt closed in fast. After years of evading law enforcement, the U.S. Secret Service finally captured him in 1935. But that was far too simple of an ending for a man like Lustig. After his arrest, Victor Lustig refused to accept that the curtain had finally dropped. To him, a pair of handcuffs wasn't a sentence. It was just another puzzle to solve. And in true Lustig fashion, he attempted one last performance, one last escape worthy of a Hollywood script. During a prisoner transfer, as agents escorted him from a federal courthouse to a waiting vehicle, Lustig spotted the smallest crack in their routine. While being loaded into the car, he claimed he felt faint and slumped just enough to prompt the agents to loosen their hold. It was all he needed. In a split-second burst of precision, he twisted free, bolted from the vehicle, and sprinted into the streets like a man who had rehearsed this scene 1,000 times. For a brief, electrifying moment, the man who sold the Eiffel Tower vanished into the crowd, a ghost slipping through daylight. But this time, his luck didn't hold. Authorities swarmed the area, and within minutes, they recaptured him. Even in failure, agents admitted the escape attempt had been so smooth, so calculated, that it felt less like a criminal fleeing custody and more like watching a seasoned illusionist perform a trick. It was Victor Lustig's final act of defiance, a reminder that even when the world closed in, he never stopped being the greatest con artist of his era. Ultimately, he was sentenced to Alcatraz, the most secure prison in America at the time. In 1947, Victor Lustig died behind bars. But his legend didn't. Today, he's remembered as one of the most creative, daring, and intelligent con artists to ever live. A man whose greatest crime wasn't just stealing money, but rewriting reality itself. And all of it, every scam, every disguise, every illusion, is overshadowed by the one moment that defined his legacy. The moment he convinced a businessman that he could buy the Eiffel Tower, not once, but nearly twice. Thanks for watching, and remember, the most dangerous lies aren't the ones we hear. They're the ones we want to believe. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support is the reason these stories keep coming, and there are plenty more on the way.